I remember the smell of rain on the pavement the night my life disintegrated. I wasn't crying because I was leaving. I was crying because I realized that the people who raised me didn't actually know me at all. "7 years ago, I was 22, freshly graduated, and ready to take on the world. My sister Elena was the golden child. She was 20, delicate, and possessed a terrifying talent for making her imagination sound like absolute gospel. I don't know if she was bored or if she genuinely hated seeing me succeed, but she decided to play a game that had no winners. She told our parents I had stolen $30,000 from our father's retirement account. She didn't just say it. She showed them proof: forged bank transfers, fake emails from me to a boyfriend who didn't exist, and a sobbing performance that would have won an Oscar. My father didn't ask for my side. He didn't look for a glitch in the system. He looked at me with a coldness that froze my blood and told me to get out. My mother stayed in the kitchen, her back to me, scrubbing a pot that was already clean. She couldn't even look at the thief she'd given birth to. "Don't come back," my father had said. "We don't have 2 daughters anymore. We only have Elena." I left with a suitcase and $80 in my pocket. I slept in my car for 2 weeks. I worked 3 jobs. I scrubbed floors, I coded until my eyes bled, and I slowly, painfully built a life from the ashes. I changed my name legally. I moved 3 states away. I became a woman who didn't have a past, only a future. Then, 3 days ago, the phone rang. It was an unknown number. Usually I'd ignore it, but something about the persistence felt heavy. When I played the message, the voice was older, thinner, and trembling. It was my mother. "Maya, please, if you're still using this number, Elena is in liver failure. It was an accident, a reaction to medication, but she's fading. We aren't matches. None of us are. The doctors, they said siblings are the best hope. Please, Maya, we know we were wrong. We found her old journals. Please don't let her pay for a mistake with her life." I sat in my office, surrounded by the success I'd built without them, and I felt nothing. No anger, no triumph. Just a hollow, echoing exhaustion. They found the truth in a journal, not because they trusted my character, but because they read it in a book. Now, I'm standing in the lobby of the hospital in my hometown. The air smells like antiseptic and regret. I haven't seen their faces in nearly a decade. I'm the only one who can keep Elena breathing, but I'm wondering if I'm here to save her, or to finally say the goodbye I never got to finish. The hospital elevator felt like a pressurized chamber, rising toward a floor I never wanted to visit again. When the doors slid open, I saw them. My father was sitting on a plastic chair, his head buried in his hands. He looked small. The giant who had cast me out with a thunderous voice now looked like a man made of paper. My mother saw me first. She gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, and for a second, she moved as if to hug me. I stepped back. The movement was instinctive. I wasn't being cruel. I was being a stranger, because that's what we were. "Maya," she whispered, her eyes brimming with a desperation that made my skin crawl. "You came." "I'm here to talk to the doctors," I said. My voice was flat, professional. It was the voice I used for board meetings, not for family reunions. "Where is she?" They led me to ICU room 412. Through the glass, Elena looked like a wax figure. The girl who had destroyed my life with a few keystrokes and a fake tear was now yellowed, frail, and drowning in a sea of tubes. There was no golden child left, just a broken machine being kept alive by humming monitors. The lead surgeon met me in a side office. He didn't know the drama. He only knew the data. "Her stats are plummeting," he explained, pointing at a chart. "We've stabilized the toxicity, but the damage is done. Without a partial transplant in the next 48 hours, her brain will begin to swell. You are the only person on the registry with the specific markers we need." I looked at the consent forms on the desk. This wasn't a simple blood draw. It was major surgery. Risks of infection, weeks of recovery, a permanent scar across my abdomen. I walked back out to the waiting room. My father approached me, his eyes red. "Maya, I know. I know there are no words. I saw the journals last year. We tried to find you, but you changed your name. We were fools. We were worse than fools. You weren't fools, I corrected him, finally letting a spark of fire into my tone. Fools make mistakes. You made a choice. You chose to believe a lie, because it was easier than believing I was a good person. She's your sister, he pleaded. She was my sister when she watched me sleep in a 2005 sedan in a Walmart parking lot, I replied. She was my sister when she watched you throw my childhood photos in the trash. Did she feel like a sister then? The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush the lungs. My mother started to sob, a quiet rhythmic sound that filled the sterile hallway. I looked at the glass window of room 412. I had spent 7 years convincing myself I was over this, that I was healed. But looking at them, I realized I wasn't healed. I was just numb. And now I had to decide if I wanted to stay numb and let her die, or feel everything and let her live. Part 3. The Price of Mercy. The night before the scheduled surgery, I sat by Elena's bed. The nurses had cleared out, leaving only the rhythmic hiss-click of the ventilator. This was the first time we had been alone in 7 years. They were thin, the skin translucent. I remembered those hands typing out the fake bank transfers that made me a pariah. I felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. It would be so easy to just walk out, to tell the doctors I changed my mind, drive back to my successful life, and let the universe finish what she started. But as I watched her, a memory flickered, not of the betrayal, but of us as kids, sharing a single pair of headphones under the covers. My mother walked in, clutching a lukewarm cup of coffee. She sat in the corner, looking at me like I was a ghost. "Why didn't you fight harder, Mom?" I asked, not looking away from the monitors. "That night, you didn't say a single word. You just washed that pot until your knuckles were white." She winced. "I was scared, Maya. Your father, he was so certain, and Elena was so convincing. I failed you. I've spent every night since then waking up at 3 a.m., looking at your empty bedroom door, knowing I let the wrong daughter go." "I don't need your guilt," I said, finally turning to face her. "Guilt is a heavy thing to carry, but it doesn't build a bridge. I'm not doing this for you, and I'm not doing it because I forgive her." "Then why?" she whispered. "Because if I let her die when I have the power to save her, then I'm exactly the monster she told you I was. I'm doing this so that when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who is nothing like any of you." The next morning, they wheeled me into the cold brilliance of the operating suite. The last thing I remember was the ceiling lights blurring into long streaks of white, and the cold sting of the anesthesia entering my veins. When I woke up, the world was a haze of pain and muffled voices. My side felt like it had been branded with a hot iron. Through the fog, I heard a nurse whisper, "The graft is taking. The sister is stabilizing." I closed my eyes and drifted off, thinking about the scar I would now carry forever. A permanent reminder of a woman I no longer knew, and a family I no longer belonged to. 2 days later, I was awake enough to see visitors. My father came in alone. He sat by my bed, his hands trembling. He pulled out a small, leather-bound book. "This was her diary from that year," he said, his voice breaking. "She wrote that she was jealous of how much you loved your life. She wanted to see if she could break you. She didn't think we'd actually kick you out. She thought we'd just be disappointed. By the time she realized what happened, she was too deep in the lie to turn back." I looked at him, the man who had been my hero for 21 years and my villain for 7. "Take the book, Dad. I don't want to read her excuses. They don't change the fact that I spent my 23rd birthday eating a can of beans in a cold car while you two were having Sunday dinner. We want you to come home, Maya, after you're discharged. Stay with us. Let us take care of you while you heal." I looked out the hospital window at the gray sky. "I am healing," I said, "but not here." The day Elena woke up was the day I signed my discharge papers. I refused to see her. The nurses thought I was being cold, but they didn't understand that my mercy ended at the operating table. I had given her a piece of my body. I wasn't required to give her a second of my time. As I was limping toward the exit, my father caught up to me in the hallway. He held out an envelope. "It's the $30,000, he said, his voice thick with shame. "With interest. It's the money we thought you took. We saved it all these years. We couldn't bring ourselves to spend a cent of it." I looked at the envelope. 7 years ago, that money would have saved me from hunger, from fear, and from the crushing loneliness of the streets. Now, it was just paper. Keep it, I said, pushing his hand away. Give it to Elena. She's going to need a lot of therapy to figure out why she hates people she's supposed to love. I don't need your money, Dad. I built a life that's worth more than anything in that envelope. I walked out of those sliding glass doors and felt the crisp, cold air hit my face. My car was waiting. I had hired a private driver to take me back to my real home, the one I'd built with my own sweat and a name I'd chosen for myself. A week later, I received a letter. The handwriting was shaky, unmistakable. It was from Elena. Maya, it read, I don't know why you did it. I don't deserve to breathe, let alone with a piece of you inside me. Mom and Dad told me everything. I'm sorry doesn't even begin to cover it. Please, tell me what I can do to make it right. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I simply walked over to the shredder in my home office and watched the paper turn into confetti. There is no making it right when you kill a person's soul. You can't apologize for 7 years of missing birthdays, funerals, and life. I sat down at my desk and looked at the scar under my shirt. It was red and angry now, but eventually it would fade into a thin, white line. It was my receipt. I had paid my debt to the blood that created me, and in doing so, I was finally, truly free. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, asking if I was up for dinner. I smiled. That was my family. The people who saw me when I was invisible, who believed me when I was called a liar, and who loved me when I had nothing. I deleted my parents' numbers. I blocked the hospital's landline. I drove toward the city lights, leaving the ghosts of room 412 exactly where they belonged, in the past. If you found out the person who ruined your life needed you to survive, would you walk away or stay and save them? This story is a reminder that blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. If this journey moved you, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more stories of betrayal and resilience.